This video is intended to be used in conjunction with the guided notes titled 1.1. The lesson title is Prehistory. How do we know about history before there are written records? That's what this is going to focus on. The first is the work of anthropologists. And anthropologists, they study human remains. And so on your guided notes, yes, one of the dashes, you'd put down study human remains. And when we're talking human remains, we're talking about finding bones. And so the bones of individuals can be very helpful. Perhaps we find a leg bone, and they can measure the leg bone, and that can tell us the height of the individual. They can also help us when you start finding some of the elbow joints or the knee joints, because there's growth plates in those areas. If no growth plates are existing, it means the individual is an adult. If growth plates are worn down or still there, that means they're a youth. Helpful areas like the hips. Hip bones are different between men and women, so this could identify the gender. Even looking at the teeth. The teeth could help explain the health of the individual. Was the enamel worn down? Were teeth rotten? So all of these pieces of information helps tell us about ancient people before there were records. The second idea is, of course, the study of human remains and the ways of living. So your second dash should be really identifying in your guided notes how people lived. And so anthropologists go out to communities. They talk about the stories of the communities, how people are interacting around their tribal villages, their cities, and from this they gather information. So anthropologists help us in both of these manners, both of these ways. The second group of individuals that helps us, and that top slide really should be archaeologists, got that one wrong, is they study human artifacts. And when we're talking human artifacts, we're not talking obviously about the bones or the way they live. We're talking about products that were made by humans. Could be pottery. Could be different tools. Could be tools for farming. All of these examples are things that humans have made and constructed. And this helps provide us with information. Of course, the first thing that archaeologists have to do is they have to find the artifacts. And so that often means they have to do some digging. And so they have to look for these artifacts. Once they find these artifacts, next they look for any patterns. So were there any markings on these artifacts? How were these artifacts laid out? At what depth were they? Step 3 is they start making deductions. They start looking at, what could this have been used for? What is this object? Is it part of a bigger picture? And then you'll see a D on your guided notes. Go ahead and just cross out D. That was an oops on my part. So what you have is these two groups of individuals that are important as far as helping us to understand the period of prehistory.